my report details structural shortcomings and systematic arbitrariness, including in training, operating procedures, and the fulfillment of detainees' rights to healthcare, family counsel, and to justice. The report sets out in detail how such arbitrariness brings about deep insecurity, suffering, and anxiety to all detainees without exception. I observe that after 2 decades of custody, the suffering of those detained is profound and it's ongoing. Every single detainee I met with lives with the unrelenting harms that follow from systematic practices of rendition, torture, and arbitrary detention. As I listened in those conversations, I understood that for many of these detainees, the dividing line between the past and the present is exceptionally thin. For some, it's simply non-existent. And their past experiences of torture live with them in the present, without any obvious end in sight, including because they have not received any adequate torture rehabilitation to date. I confirm in this report the depth and severity of many detainees' current physical and psychological harms. And I find that despite the evident nature of those harms, the Guantanamo Bay detention infrastructure entails near constant surveillance, forced cell extractions, undue use of restraints, and other arbitrary and human rights non-compliant implementation of the standard operating procedures which stem from inadequate training, structural and entrenched physical and mental health care deficits, inadequate access to family, including the failure to facilitate meaningful familial calls and visits, and ongoing arbitrary detention, which is characterized by sustained fair trial and due process violations. The totality of all of these practices and omissions detailed at length in the report have, among others, they have a cumulative compounding effect on the dignity and fundamental rights and freedoms of each detainee, and amounts, in my assessment, to ongoing cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment under international law.